Well, interesting the way this played out this past week on Raw because AJ's public comments for quite some time was that he planned on retiring in 2026. He did not plan on spending the entire year in WWE. In fact, he joked in an interview not too long ago where John Cena, he said, pulled him aside in the locker room recently and said, "Hey, man, why wouldn't you do one of these retirement tours? And, why not do the same thing?" And AJ said, I looked at him and said, "Man, I'm 48 years old. I don't want to be doing this." You're going to make me stay another year? Come on, man. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because it's professional wrestling. There's a thing that completely adds up with everything AJ is saying. But at the same time, it's professional wrestling. I could completely see, and hear me out on this, Les, because we just talked about AJ's public comments. So making this match this week with Gunther at the Royal Rumble, where if he loses, his career comes to an end. Obviously makes sense for Gunther, who's been the career ender now for both Goldberg and John Cena. And it would make the circle complete. AJ debuted in WWE at the Royal Rumble in 2016. So a full 10 years for AJ in this company. So it does add up and make sense to be AJ's last ever match. But because it is professional wrestling, it's not crazy to think AJ wins this match. And I'll tell you why. Because while it would not be the first time it happened, it's not something they do regularly and they haven't done it in a while. And what I'm referring to is Gunther having a singles match, defending the World Heavyweight Championship and wrestling AJ Styles, and doing double duty. Normally the champion is not in the Rumble, but Gunther said he's going to be in the Rumble either way. So I could see a scenario where we're all thinking this is the end for AJ, but he wins the match, saves his career, wins the championship, and Gunther wins the Rumble, gets his rematch.
I like it. You're the new booker, okay? You're the new booker. I know it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Yeah, but yeah, and you know what? Talking about Nigel being 50, and now, damn, I saw Cena start. I've seen him quit, and I saw AJ. Well, AJ was in the first week-long training camp that we had at HWA when I was with Vince back then. And in fact, I saw a little clip on Facebook, the little panels where they put up the little inserts that you move them left and right. Someone talking to AJ about, he said, I know it's well documented, and he's right, it is, because he was one of the guys that got offered a contract out of the week that he spent in Cincinnati with us. And he talks about the money he was offered with, his wife and children. And of course, he keeps saying, and I'd go to Cincinnati, meaning he was going to come to us at HWA, which I'd have been happy to have AJ, to be quite frank with you. I had a hell of a crew, and he was done, only added to it, believe me. But yeah, the money wasn't good, so that's why he didn't go, stayed on the Indies, and ended up being the face of TNA for how many years, for goodness sake. So yeah, it's not always the best thing is not always to go with the biggest guy because he made the offer. And I think AJ proved a point there. He came to WWE for a lot more than $500 a week when he came, don't you think?
Well, that he did. It's a real lesson because while that was a nice deal to come work at HWA at the time, he was essentially going to stay out on the indies and make less money because he both bet on himself and prioritized his family and family life.
Right.
And as a result, he ended up making a pretty good living within a couple of years in TNA and then in New Japan, where the travel was extensive, but because of the structure of the tours, he still got a chance to get home and spend quality time with the family when they were not working a particular tour in New Japan. And then he got the WWE more or less on his own terms and on the merit of his own work after putting in so many years in the business in other places, and really became one of the more trusted guys immediately. I remember a lot of hand-wringing, and I was one of them, when he initially came in and immediately got programmed with Jericho and lost. But before that year was out, he was selling out buildings and main eventing pay-per-views with Roman Reigns. And They were not going to put you in the ring with Roman Reigns at that time, the way Vince was determined to make Roman Reigns a superstar. if he didn't have absolute faith, trust, and confidence that you were going to make Roman Reigns look like the superstar Vince wanted him to be. So AJ earned that trust pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I had heard about AJ before he came to that week-long tryout in Cincinnati, and I thought, I'm not interested in seeing somebody that is doing all the acrobatics and can't wrestle. But damn, by the end of the week, I said, okay, when it came down to the coaches saying who you think, he was one of the guys that, yes, get a hold of this kid and stick with him. He's going to be great. And of course, he has been exactly that. Damn, how long? You know what? Can I get a special trophy for watching some of the top guys of the last 2 decades being star? Watch them grow and watch them retire, and I'm still hanging around. I'm going to have to win the damn lottery to get out of this business, aren't I?
Well, who else was at that particular camp? Was that the same camp that Edge and Christian were at, or was that a different one?
No, they were not there. I'm trying to think who else was there. Damn it. Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode was there. Bobby Roode was there as well. Yeah. Yeah. And Tomko, Travis Tomko, who did well with we mentioned,
did well working with AJ and TNA too.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. They were both there. A couple other kids that were pretty strong, but never got really, got a heavy push. But yeah, it's and everyone then thought, well, AJ turned down the contract with WW. Oh my God, how did that happen? He's done pretty well after turning down that particular contract, I would say. But yeah, you're right. He believed in himself, and he got the job done. More power to him.
The funny thing is, and I'm sure it never crossed Vince McMahon's desk at the time because of the nature of that camp, but if word had gotten back to him that AJ Styles was someone they wanted and he had turned him down, it would have made Vince want him more. He actually probably would have worked harder to bring him in sooner.
He probably would have.